friends, and then maybe gaining more understanding of how you as a person that is in classes with someone or is going to encounter someone maybe out on a job site, how you can have better understanding and maybe help that person a little bit better. We can't expect you to put yourself into someone else's shoes, to have empathy, if you're not aware about the different situations that people face. So that's the job of today's activities. We are going to put ourselves in the place of others and try to have a better understanding of the way in which people learn, some of the challenges they have, and how we can help out. And hopefully, we're going to live that motto of choosing kind. It's really strange how it works out this way. I put a precept on the board, just like from the book Wonder every day. And the January 3rd precept says there are 3 important things to do in life. The first thing is to be kind. The second thing is to be kind. And the third thing is to be kind. Okay, and we can increase that hopefully with a little bit of empathy. So I'm going to turn it over to Brian. To Brian Nobles. He runs a group called Disability Express, and the people that have come today are going to answer some questions that I've asked them to address for the whole panel. Okay, so turning it over to Brian.
Good morning, Shiloh Middle. Thank you for allowing us to be here with you today. My name is Brian Nobles, and I am the founder and director of Disability Express Group. I have with me here today my fellow members from the group, starting with me and
Emily.
Cassie.
name's Bob.
Hi, I'm Olivia, and this is my service dog Icon. He's being stage shy.
The Disability Express Group is a social and recreational group for teens and adults with disabilities. Many of us, as a result of our disabilities, have faced bullying over the years, and we are here today to share with you some of our experiences surrounding this topic. Now, before I go any further with this speech, I'm going to ask you all a question. I want you to raise your hand and keep it up if it applies to you. How many of you were born with brown eyes? Keep your hands up. How many of you were born with blue eyes? Oh, everyone keep their hands up. Who got their hands up? How many of you were born with green eyes? Keep your hands up, everyone. Anyone who might call it, keep your hands up. Now, how many of you were born with colored eyes that I did not mention? Any of you have control over your eye color? I heard a yes somewhere. Well, I'm going to go to the point and say you didn't have control over your eye color, just like we didn't have control over whether we were born with a disability.
Did you have a question? No. Okay.
Okay. Before we begin, this event has another component to it. It's the annual fundraiser, which takes place at United Hapkido Martial Arts Studio in Eldersburg. Now, this is on a date yet to be determined. All may participate, disability or not, as long as they have sponsors. Now, without further ado, let us tell you our stories.
you know, with the kick out bullying, you get sponsors, you kick for 2 hours, which is a lot of fun. Play crab soccer, you kick targets, do all kinds of kicking, and all the money goes to local middle schools for this type of education. So it's really a fun event and for a good cause. Okay, so I'm going to start the questions for the panel. What support, well, I guess we should start with what your disability is before we get started with that.
My disabilities, I have autism and an anxiety disorder.
My disability is autism.
My disability is autism.
I have autism like my brother, and I have ADHD.
I have an emotional disability, so what that means is I have trouble reading others' emotions sometimes, but I have more trouble regulating my own. So I could be angry, sad, happy, kind of all in 1 minute. So that's my disability.
What supports have been put into place to make you more successful?
I currently work, but I have tax and plate. Like a lot of people with my type of disability, I have people who help me out in the communities with stuff such as shopping, just getting out there, being social, and they're called techs.
When I was in high school, I started using a recording pen to take notes in class, and it records what the teacher says, and then allows me to take my own notes. I also use an iPad, which has been helpful to help me record notes, studying and creating documents. I get extended time on tests, which means I get the whole time to finish it. I've had support from my friends and family, which has helped me. And then being in different social groups has allowed me to make friends and do stuff together.
Some supports that have been in place for me are the group, my mom, and my teachers who they will group my questions together so I don't get too stressed.
It's throughout my growing up and all that, one of the biggest things that has helped me is to learn to advocate for myself, to be able to reach out and ask for something when you need it. No one can read your mind. If you need something, you have to go and seek it out. And for some, that might be more difficult than others. But believe me when I say it is one of the most important things that you can do and that you have to learn how to do.
So my main support is sitting behind me. I don't know if you guys can see him. His name is Icon. He's a service dog. Icon, come here. This is Icon. He is trained to perform tasks such as retrieving a phone in an emergency. He does deep pressure therapy, which is he lays on my chest when I'm having an anxiety attack. He does tactile stimulation, which is licking me until I'm calm. He's also trained to nudge me when I'm really upset and anxious to kind of predict if I'm about to have an anxiety attack. He retrieves medication for me, and he does something called a snuggle. I'm going to see if I can get him to do it. Come here. Come here. Come here. Ready? I come. Snuggle. Come on. You can do it. Go ahead. Oh, good boy. This is called a snuggle. So he usually puts his head on my chest, and this really helps me calm down when I'm feeling upset, right? Yeah.
What advice would you give to children who want to be more accepting of people with disabilities?
My advice, think about how you would feel if you had difficulties and someone made fun of you for it? Walk a mile in our shoes.
If you see someone sitting alone at lunch or at recess, go start a conversation with that person. They need a friend and would love someone to talk to and to be their friend. If you see someone being singled out or bullied, don't be afraid to stop it, or if you don't feel comfortable doing that, letting an adult know what is happening. The person being bullied may be too afraid to tell someone what is going on.
I would say you should treat us like you would treat your friends. And if you see us sitting alone, start a conversation and don't leave us out.
I would say if you want to understand a condition more, research it. I mean, there's plenty of information online. I would caution you to be careful what you read online. Make sure it's credible. Your teachers can assist you with that if need be.
So my advice to someone is be kind, actually. I don't know what your name was who started out. Lynn? Was it Lynn? Lisa. Lisa took my words. It's be kind, be kind, be kind. Treat everyone, disability or not, with respect. What you say today to someone can affect them years later. I was bullied in middle school. I was your age, 12, 13, 14. What people said to me 11 years ago still affects me today. I was hit, I was punched, I was kicked, I was verbally abused, so people called me names. And what they did to me still affects me today. It's really hard. Actually, being in here is hard. Coming to a middle school is not what my idea of a fun day is, but now I can do this. I can come and talk to you guys. It's taken a lot of work to get to this point. So I just want to remind you, be kind to everybody. Again, what my fellow group members said, if you see someone sitting alone, please go talk to them. Just because they're not in the clique or in the crowd doesn't mean that they're not a good person.
I'm going to add my piece too. Just like Brian said at the beginning, you don't have a choice about your eye color. You don't have a choice about what disability you're born with. Okay. What do you consider to be your greatest accomplishment?
Creating this group.
I would have to say my most recent accomplishment is working full-time and being able to go to the community college and taking 2 classes at night. And some of my other accomplishments, including getting a driver's license, graduating high school, and being at a job for 3 years and figuring out what I want to do as a career.
My greatest accomplishment is I recently moved, and it was hard. It's hard for me to make friends, and I made them on the 3rd day of school.
My greatest accomplishment thus far is finishing community college and going to the University of Maryland, which I go back late January, early February. So I'm very fortunate that I can be here and talk to you guys.
My greatest accomplishment is holding a job. With my disability, I get hospitalized sometimes. So it's very hard to hold a job and to stay in school. And right now I work at Petco as a dog trainer. I go to school online for my professional animal behavior degree. I love my job. I've had it for 6 or 7 months now, so that's a huge accomplishment for me. I love what I do.
What are the positive effects of your disability?
Positive effects. Positive effects of my disability, I would say I tend to be able to, well, let me backtrack a little bit. People with autism or or mostly high-functioning autism, tend to focus more on single subjects. So I guess one positive effect of my disability is I'm able to focus on something, one particular thing, maybe a little more than some other people could.
I'm hardworking, I can stay fixed on tasks for a long time. I'm creative and caring.
A positive effect would be being able to focus even if there's noise in the classroom.
As for positive effects, I'd say anything positive that occurs isn't necessarily a result of a disability, but more your character, how your personality. Sure, it can influence some of those things, but I think anything positive that arises as a result is because of your character and what you do in life.
The positive effects of my disability is that I can pick up on people's emotions pretty quickly. So I can do it faster than the average person because I feel my emotions more deeply than most people. So when I feel angry, I feel really angry. When I feel sad, I feel really sad. When I feel happy, I feel really happy. So I can kind of judge people on what they're feeling quicker than most people. It also makes me a really good friend because I can be there for you even if you're having a rough time.
In what situation do you feel the most comfortable?
The situation where I feel most comfortable is when I feel that I can talk to people I'm working with.
I feel most comfortable in situations where I'm familiar with the people I know and I'm able to predict the situation.
I feel most comfortable when I'm with people I can trust and know they won't go behind my back.
I feel the most comfortable when the only thing I have to worry about is my studies and my work.
I feel the most comfortable in a quiet area with not a lot of people and not a lot of noise. So it's very overwhelming with crowds. It's very overwhelming sitting here. Like I said before, coming into a middle school, I couldn't have done this about 5 years ago. I was triggered, which means it brought on my anxiety to look at a backpack, to look at a binder, to come in and see students your age. I could not be here 5 years ago, but I'm here today. So that just proves you can do anything you set your mind to.
Is it better for someone to ask you a question about your disability or to ignore it?
Is it better to ask about someone's disability? Absolutely, it is better to ask. The more you know about people you want to be friends with, or who wants to be friends with you, the better.
I think it's better for someone to ask a question about my disability than ignore it. If you don't ask questions, you can make an assumption about that person that may or may not be accurate.
I think it's better to ask a question so you know more about that person and you just don't assume what they're like.
I think it's always good to ask questions, just be mindful of the time and place.
I prefer you ask questions and get to know me. I would appreciate if you didn't stare at me and my dog. I know it's very tempting when there's a dog around and you're just like, ooh, that person looks really cool and they have a really cute dog. But a lot of us with service dogs don't necessarily appreciate the stare, but we do appreciate you coming to talk to us. This is not the case for everyone. So if you see someone with a vested dog, they may not want to talk to you about their disability, and that's okay. But I'd rather you have asked me the questions. I'm very open. And I actually prefer people to ask so that they're informed about the correct information than just assume something.
Do you think society has improved in how it treats people with disabilities?
I think it has improved to an extent, a major extent of that. I mean, sure, there are a few kinks to work out here and there, but I think society as a whole has things it needs to work on.
I think society has improved on how it treats people with disabilities. We no longer have mental institutions. We've lessened the use of psychotic drugs to treat behavior and lessened any type of abuse and restraints among the elderly and disabled. Care facilities have moved from institutional care to person-centered care. And person-centered care means that the caregiver puts more thought into the care they are providing and taking the person they are caring for needs and wants into consideration. I think TV and movies have become more accepting of actors with disabilities. TV shows such as Born This Way on A&E features young adults with Down syndrome experiencing life. Movies that feature disabilities include The Theory of Everything, I Am Sam, Forrest Gump, Still Alice, Temple Grandin, and I think disability activists like Dr. Temple Grandin, Stephen Hawking, Helen Keller, and Nick Van Drew have helped others understand what it's like having a disability.
I think society has improved but people are still getting bullied, but there are some people who are getting treated like normal people.
I think that, yes, have we improved since 50 years ago? Absolutely. Are we perfect? No, and we're probably never going to be perfect, but we can always improve.
I think it definitely has. Like my fellow group members were saying, about 50 years ago, maybe even 30 years ago now, I would have been locked up in a jail type situation. There was no such things as service dogs. There was no such things as therapy and medication to help with certain issues. And people with disabilities were kind of just tossed aside like a piece of trash or hidden away. So I think society has improved, definitely, because now there are things like service dogs and treatment and someone you can talk to if you're feeling bad. But the main thing I would say to continue improving is socialize with people with disabilities. Make us feel included. Even if you don't have a disability, make you feel included. The best thing you can do is to include everyone.
How do you define yourself?
I define myself as a 23-year-old young man who works at Change Inc. I actually work with people with developmental disabilities for a living. And I'm pretty much just like any other human being.
I define myself as a person who has multiple disabilities, but that doesn't stop me from living a wonderful life.
I would define myself as a normal middle schooler like you guys, and not many people know I have a disability.
I'm not exactly sure how to answer that question. That's a very broad question. Anyone willing to elaborate? Anyone? I will pass it on to Liv then.
I define myself as someone who is a survivor, not a victim. I've been through a lot in my life because of my disability and because of people bullying me. So there are some days that I wake up in bed and I don't want to be here. I don't want to be alive. But I'm here, and I am alive. And I don't let what people did to me 11 years ago stop me from working towards my dreams and my goals, and anything you can think of, I'm willing to do. Like, I have worked so hard to have a job, and I've worked so hard to be in school. I actually dropped out of college 4 times because it just got too overwhelming or too much. And now I'm in school and I'm doing great. So you just keep following your dreams. Don't let anyone put you down, and don't let anyone stop you.
Finish this statement. One thing I wish people knew about me is.
One thing I wish people knew about me is, even though I have a disability, I am very open to discussion. For me personally, I am willing to talk about anyone, about anything, even if it might be a little controversial.
I wish people knew that just because I look normal and lead a quote-unquote normal life, that I do have multiple disabilities and my struggles are just as difficult as everyone else's.
Something I wish people knew about me is I'm still normal even though I have a disability. I still have friends. And
Most of all, I wish people will walk away from this treating others like human beings, treating them for who they are, regardless of what's going on with them in life. Just treat them like typical people, because in the end, that's what we all are.
One thing that I wish people knew about me is that I have a disability. Not all disabilities are visible. So the only way you know I have a disability is because I have a service dog, right? Like, if I was walking on the street and you saw me, I don't look funny, I don't look different, but that I still have a disability. And someone might have a learning disability, that they have trouble reading or writing. That's a disability too. Others may have trouble with focus, sitting in the classroom, you just can't get your thoughts together. It's not visible on the outside, but you still have a disability. So treat everyone with kindness, because if you met me on the street and say I didn't have icon with me, you might not know that I had a disability. So you don't know what people have going on with them. You may see them for one way at school, but they may have a totally different life at home. Or you may meet them at school and you don't even know they have a disability. Because all of us up here, you could not tell that we had a disability if you just looked at us. Now, there are physical disabilities, and that's different, and that's okay. Those people, you can kind of see their disabilities. They may walk with a wheelchair, or be in a wheelchair, or walk with a crutch, and that's okay too. But my point is, you don't know what people have going on with them. You don't. So treat everyone with respect and kindness, because you don't know.
Finish this statement. Something I wish people would stop doing is.
Some things I wish people would stop doing is looking at someone with a disability or finding out that someone has a disability and either walking away or making light of them or acting or being disgusted by them. Going on what my brother said, you have to treat we want you to walk out of here treating anyone like you would treat a human being.
I wish people would stop doing is stop stereotyping people with disabilities. I don't fit the box of a person with a disability because I can drive, I have a job, and I have a school diploma.
something I wish people would stop doing is, if you know you have a disability, don't make fun of us. Treat us like we're your friends.
One thing I wish that most would stop doing is being so difficult with themselves. Like, or hating themselves. If you hate yourself, it's going to be harder for you to spend time with others. You can't